welcome back to another exciting BRP Live. This is our new weekly series of interviews with people that I really like talking to, friends, colleagues, and soon to be people I don't even know. Today I'm joined by a friend who I will introduce very soon. But first, I just need to let you all know that there will not be an episode, one of these episodes of BRP Live next week, because here in Canada, it is going to be Thanksgiving, and we'll all be in turkey comas or faux turkey comas, just having naps. So there won't be one of those episodes next week, but we'll be back to our regular programming with our full episodes. So your full monthly podcast episode. So that's going to be with the guy who started it all for me, my junior high band teacher, Mr. Peter Gallant, who is just a marvelous person, an award-winning music educator. So that will be coming out on Monday, and you can hear that. And then after that, this is the last little plug. After that, please come back to this BRP Live, because I will be joined by composer, conductor, Giovanni Santos. It's going to be cool. It's going to be great. And I said I was going to introduce today's guest, but today's guest really doesn't need an introduction because she's already been on the podcast. She's a composer. She's a wonderful friend of mine. And our first, I'm really building this up, returning guest, Cait Nishimura. Welcome back, Cait.
Hello. Thank you for having me back. I'm honored to be your first returning guest.
No pressure. No pressure. You're also probably one of the most discussed. Like when I say discussed, like disgusted. No, I'm not pronouncing it correctly. You know what I mean? People
the
always,
most discussion about.
yeah. So people are always coming up to me, telling me about this episode, and you were really one of the first interviews. So it was. You're very special.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was great. So let me ask you some questions. And before I ask some questions, let me just remind our studio audience that you can also ask questions. So if you have a question, please throw it in the comment section. And if it is appropriate and we have time, we'll try to answer that for you.
Excellent.
So the first thing I'm going to mention is this background looks a little bit different. There's a scenery change. Is it a new studio? You're not in the big city anymore?
I'm not. I'm in a city. It's a different city. I'm in a new house. We moved to Waterloo from Toronto after being in Toronto for 11 years. So it's a big change for me. I'm still getting set up here. It's the wrong time of day to show you the outside, but there's like really beautiful trees outside and everything's turning colors now because it's fall. So it's a good thing. It's good for my mental state, good for my music, hopefully. So
yeah, you can like practice without people getting mad.
It's wonderful. I know that. Yeah, I'm not the only one that feels that way. My musical fiance is also very happy to be able to do his thing. So
cool. Well, there you go. Waterloo has got two new wonderful people. So how have you been holding up during this new exciting time that we live in?
Exciting is one way to put it. It's been a very strange strange time. I don't know. You know, I'm doing my best to stay afloat, stay inspired, and stay connected with people, even though obviously we all wish that we could interact with each other in person. You know, it's nice that technology is allowing us to stay connected, at least in this format, even though it's not exactly what we're all used to. I've been finding it challenging to stay creative. It's hard when you're in survival mode to think creatively and to, you know, keep up the motivation to do much of anything. But I know that that's not unique to me. I think that's pretty much how everybody's been feeling recently. So.
Oh yeah. But we'll talk more about that specific thing in a little bit. But we will speak first of your productivity.
Oh, good. I know. Please remind me.
Yeah, I'll
what
remind
I've done.
you, and then I'll say, "Here's the truth." Okay.
Yeah.
No, but I know this summer you were up to some cool stuff, and one of one of the things that I know about you is that supporting young composers is something that's super important. And I know that you got a chance to do that directly this summer with this super cool new initiative, the Music Creators Academy. And I was just wondering if you could kind of tell us a little bit about that and your involvement with it.
Sure. So, yeah, I was lucky enough to be on the executive board for a brand new project, as you mentioned, called the Music Creators Academy. And there were four of us on the exec board, all composers, and we created this online virtual summer music program for middle school and high school students. And the whole thing was run by composers, and there was no requirement that participants were composers themselves. We made it very clear that you didn't have to have ever written any music before. It was just that, we kind of came together as a collective of composers who wanted to provide a unique sort of summer opportunity for younger musicians. And what we ended up with was a really awesome, supportive community of students from all over North America who came together to create brand new pieces of music. We had a couple of small ensembles where the students actually improvised and created brand new works that were then sort of premiered virtually at the end of the program. And there were private lessons. There was a large ensemble that did like an asynchronous thing where everybody recorded a video and then it was edited together. But basically it was just a very cool opportunity, I think, for both sides. Like for the students, I know had a really good time. We got a lot of great feedback from them and their parents. And I know from, being on the faculty and the exec board as well, that all of the adults involved were very happy with it as well. It was just such a rewarding experience, to be able to see new music come to life, even though none of us had met in person. I think that's just a really unique, special kind of thing that has come from this difficult situation that we're all in.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a super cool thing, especially because I think a lot of us at the beginning of all of this, we're trying to figure out how to do what we used to do on Zoom
Yes.
or whatever, on whatever platform it was, and
Mm-hmm.
quickly realizing that this won't work. So
Yeah.
it was cool to
Yeah.
see that initiative, trying to embracing some of these technological advances that we've
Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
we've
I
made.
mean, the founder was Benjamin Taylor, and his whole idea was just that rather than trying to do what we normally do in a new way, why don't we just try to do something that's never been done before? And that way it doesn't feel so much like we're trying to replace something that's irreplaceable. We're just creating something brand new. And that's what composers do, right? So I think it was the perfect kind of combinations of things. But we actually did find a way to play together on Zoom. We picked things like pentatonic scales and things like that, where even if people are kind of early or late, depending on latency with Zoom, it all still kind of worked. It was very exciting.
Kind of is the
Kind
key.
of is the keyword.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sure it did work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a program that is like geared towards high school students.
Yeah.
And and it's happening again.
It is. Yeah. We just had a board meeting last week to decide that, yes, in fact, we are going to offer it next summer. I probably shouldn't talk about too many of the
No,
specifics because
don't
we're
tell us
still
too
figuring
much.
it out.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen again next year. And we're talking about creating an educator track as well.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
offering some PD for teachers who want to offer similar exercises and things like that for their students. So stay tuned. There's no official info yet, but it'll be next July. Yeah.
And I'll throw a link in our description after if people want to check out some of the work that you did last summer, which is super neat. And speaking of super neat work in the virtual realm that has not stopped, most recently your Lake Superior suite, or some movements of your Lake Superior suite, have been selected for the virtual band project and their next recording project. And I think most of us have kind of an idea of what this is. We've all seen those Brady Bunch videos on Facebook and YouTube of many people. The super cool thing about this is there's so many people involved. So I was wondering if you could just talk about the project and how you're involved, because I know you're kind of heavily involved in this one.
Yeah.
In comparison
So this
to
is
Granger and Holst, who are done.
I know, right? This is one of the perks of, choosing to play music by living composers, is that you can get them to be part of it in all these different ways. And I don't know, I think that's awesome. So yes, this is the virtual concert band, and it's a project organized by Laura Campbell, who is from Australia. And this is the 6th project, I believe, that she's done so far since the pandemic hit. And I think her last project had something like 500 musicians involved from all over the world. And this is the first project that involves really working closely with the composer of the piece. So I'm honored to be that person. I am conducting the piece. So they're doing 3 movements. It's a 5-movement suite, as you know, but for anyone listening who doesn't know, it's a 5-movement suite, and we're doing 3 of those movements. What a weird experience it is to conduct like nobody.
Right.
And to just hope for the best, that like the things that my arms and face are doing will resonate with whoever's looking at it.
Well, I saw your little dance on your Instagram story. Got a good kick out of that this morning. That was.
I was trying to see like how high up can my arms go before I get cut off. But yeah, so I provided the conducting track for these videos, and I'm also going to be doing some live workshops with the participants. The first one is tomorrow, and so they all take place over the next week.
Super
Yeah.
sweet.
And so basically I'm doing like one workshop per movement, where I will give some insight about the music and answer questions from the participants, and just talk about composition in general and whatever comes up in the conversation. So
Cool.
yeah.
You're taking over the world, Cait. You're taking over the world. My goodness. No, that's going to be very cool. And
Yeah.
please, once again, I'll put the link in the description so you can kind of check out some of these past projects. And it should be said that Cait is the first Canadian, the first female, and the first person of color to be featured in this super cool project, which is great. But yeah, so check that stuff out.
I think that's important. I think
very much.
she started to say like to the members, what pieces do you want to do next? And I think some people started to say, hey, we should do some music by women. We should do some music by people who are alive that we can, work with and stuff. So I guess I was the first person that she discovered, or that someone suggested. So happy to be that person.
Happy to be that person.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. And going way back to the beginning of our conversation, when we were talking about the joys, or maybe not joys, of the creative process during the pandemic. I know at the beginning, and there's still video proof on our Facebook page, there's proof at the beginning of the pandemic that I was quite vocal about using all this extra time we have to better ourselves, and this is a chance to make something new and exciting. And then I quickly realized, no, I don't really have any kind of creative juices flowing right now with everything that's going on, and I'm not even a composer, so like I can just imagine. So as hard as it may seem for some, I think many of us think about composers, this is who you are anyway. You're by yourself in your studio writing the next symphony. And that is certainly true for some people, but it's not true for any. So I was wondering if you could just talk about your experience during the pandemic as a creator, and how maybe that has challenged you, good or bad.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely been challenging. It's been challenging more than it has been anything else. Like, I think it's just, as a general statement, this has been hard. I definitely was used to spending a lot of time alone, or not with groups of people. I have been working from home already in this lifestyle, in this career. It really is a necessity, that alone time, to get ideas out and all of that. But as you know, a big component of my job involved traveling a lot. It involved going into schools all over North America, all over the world, actually, at this point, and working with ensembles that had been doing my pieces or doing residencies or whatever. And I've really been missing that, human aspect of it, just like everybody else, for sure. But I think it does surprise some people to hear that that's such an important part of what I do, because I think, like you said, the common perception is that, oh, the crazy composer, like alone at the piano, alone in the studio, like getting the frizzy hair. I did my hair for this because,
Yes.
I do
Looks
normally
great.
have crazy
My
composer
goodness.
hair. But yeah, I think as much as I do need the alone time to get the work done, my energy comes from other people. My inspiration comes from being in other places and being inspired and influenced by other people who are doing awesome things. And it's certainly possible to get some of that even remotely, but it's not quite the same. So I've definitely been experiencing the low energy, lack of motivation, lack of inspiration kind of thing. And not to get too dark or anything, but it's just like, as a person who makes a living writing music for groups of people to play in front of other groups of people,
Right.
like, the world is kind of telling me right now, you can't, like, what you do is not a thing that can happen. So that's been really discouraging, but I am doing my best to reinvent a little bit, and working on some chamber music and working on solo stuff and trying to find new ways to get my ideas out and find ideas and make connections with people in new ways. So trying to keep it positive, but it's definitely been tough.
Yeah. No, it's a real thing, right? And all is, well, we had talked on Friday, but and one of the things that we were
you
talking
can pretend
about,
we haven't talked in like this
I
whole
haven't
time.
I haven't talked to Cait since the last interview.
Mm-hmm.
Not true. We exchange cat photos quite
We
often.
It's great.
Yeah. So, but one of the things that we were talking about was the process. One of the ways that some composers are pivoting a little bit is creating a lot of this adaptable repertoire. In some places, we can play it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm mostly taking this opportunity to plug something for you. There is a great adaptable piece by Cait that you can get for your school or your community group, if you're allowed to play. And that's Into the Blue, which is a great little tune.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, you're welcome. So that's I was just I think I'm going to be doing it next semester with my group, because
awesome.
I was so disappointed last March when all this started that we couldn't give the Northern Ontario premiere of Intrinsic
I
Light.
know.
But,
Hopefully someday that'll happen for real. I had so many performances canceled, and I mean, everybody did, right? And even like music teachers, music students are all suffering this disappointment and like grief in a way, right? Of all of these opportunities that were supposed to happen that didn't get to happen. But I think the composer perspective of that is just that, there are all these pieces that I poured my heart into that I haven't heard yet. I can't sell them to other people yet, because premieres need to take place. And there's so many details behind the scenes like that people might not think about. So it's been a year of ups and downs, that's for sure. But but I'm hopefully I'm going to work on a couple more flexible, adaptable, versions of some pieces, because I know that it's not exactly what I had in mind for my project schedule this year, but I know that it's a useful resource for people, so I'm on it.
Thank you, Cait Nishimura. Thank you. On behalf of all band directors everywhere.
I'll do what I can.
Hey everybody, Dylan Maddox here to talk to you about something that is crucially important in today's world: merchandise. Of all the things happening now in the world, nothing is more important than some sweet merch. So be the coolest kid or teacher at school with your very own Bandroom Podcast clothing. Show that you are a true bandy, loud and proud, with a BRP t-shirt, long sleeve shirt, or maybe a pullover hoodie, or as our friends in Saskatchewan call them, bunny hugs. Maybe that's not enough. Maybe you want to start your day off with the Bandroom Podcast, drinking from your BRP coffee mug. Makes that coffee and tea taste even better. You can rest easy knowing that all funds go directly back to helping support the podcast with hosting costs and investments into new equipment so that we can continue to bring you great content and great people. Check out all the merch at bandroompod.com/store. Don't miss your chance to support BRP by purchasing some cool merch. Speaking of all band directors everywhere, this summer I had the chance to take part in the UCLA conducting symposium, which is super cool. You know, with all of this happening, there seems to be more things happening than ever when it comes to, you know,
I agree.
improving yourself and all this. So one of the things I went to was this conducting symposium, and it was super cool. It was with the wonderful Dr. Travis Cross and Michael Haithcock from University of Michigan, which was great. But one of the final projects that we did was a programming project. So we, you know, made maybe 3 or 4 different kinds of programs. And I noticed, I literally mean that you were the only Canadian composer being brought up by our American friends, which is I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I was just like shocked. So I was wondering why you think this is. And I was also, I was also wondering if you could recommend some of some Canadian composers that you kind of admire as well. And we can talk further about this issue as well.
Yeah, sure. This is a big one. This is a big topic. I'm trying to figure out how to summarize my thoughts on this because there are so many. But, you know, firstly, to any of those people who attended that, who programmed my music on their imaginary programs, thank you. I really, really appreciate that. And I am happy to be, you know, the honorary Canadian on all of our American friends' concert programs. Like it's really a dream come true when I think about myself, like even just a few years ago, before all of this growth kind of happened. It is really a big deal and I appreciate it a lot. But I don't want to be the only one. I don't want to somehow represent all of Canada in concert band land. I don't want to, I don't know, it's too much pressure. It's too much pressure to like be the one person, right? And it's also just unrealistic because there are so many other Canadian composers who have come before me and are working at the same time as me. And I would love to have other Canadian composers recognized more often and more globally. You know, I think that's a really big issue and something worth talking about beyond this conversation. But I have to wonder, you know, why aren't more Canadian composers writing for band? Hey. And the ones who are, why don't people know that yet? Right? Like, why is it that I'm still relatively new on the scene and I'm out there? Because it's not as if I'm like the best one. I think I've been thinking a lot lately about what it takes to be successful, not just as a composer, but just in general. And the question that is, you know, is it more important to be good at what you do or to be a good person, to be well liked, to be the kind of person that someone else wants to work with, or to be the absolute best at the thing that you do? And where is the balance between that? I think this is related to your question, because it's not that I'm the only Canadian composer that has good band music out there. Mm-hmm. It's that I'm the one that everybody knows, because I created a 2-month tour by myself, just going on the West Coast to as many schools as I possibly could. And that was 2 years ago. And all of those contacts that I made are still in contact with me, are playing every new piece that I put out, are recommending me to all of their friends, all of their colleagues, all of their students. And, you know, I go to Midwest, I go to the conferences, I attend the live streams, I comment on YouTube videos of people who have put up their 6th grade band playing my piece. I comment and I say, thank you for playing this piece. What a wonderful recording. You know, like, I show up whether it's in person or virtually, in as many ways as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why. Like when you ask, you know, why is it that I'm the one that's on these programs? It's because I show up and people know who I am, and I think I'm a relatively friendly person.
No, I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
you know, but that's important. I think
Yeah.
that's an important thing for people to think about. And, you know, if there are other Canadian composers out there, please introduce yourselves to me, to Dylan, to everybody else. We want to spread the love. We want to spread your music all over the place. But it's hard. And I know when you asked like who are other Canadian composers, I'm thinking of some others who are, maybe they're not composers full time, maybe they're teachers as well, or maybe they have other kinds of work lined up as well. And it's really hard to put the amount of time in that's necessary to grow a business the way that I'm working on, right? And I think that's part of the problem too, just that it's one thing to write the music, but if other people don't know that it exists, it kind of just stops there.
Yeah.
So I think there are bigger issues here than just a popularity contest, you know? Like I think there are real barriers to young composers especially, and sort of unconventional composers doing things a little bit differently. There are real barriers for those people to get their music in the right hands.
Right.
So I think, yeah,
No.
we've opened a
Yeah, I
giant
know.
box here, you know.
Okay, put your seatbelts on, folks. 2 more hours
Yeah.
and we'll be done. No, I'm kidding. But
We'll come back to this at some point, you know,
yeah,
but
for
yeah.
your third return to the Band Room podcast.
Yes,
That's what we're doing.
exactly.
But no,
Exactly.
so many really good points, and it was what you just mentioned was something I noticed whenever Robert Ambrose and the gang were starting to do this creative repertoire initiative, and
Yeah.
I was so happy to see them involving, you know, like composers that were still in school, and
Yes,
and
exactly.
people had all these like super cool wacky ideas.
Yeah.
So and it was nice to have that kind of that platform, and I think all those things are recorded and you can go on their Facebook group and see it.
Oh, definitely.
But
Yeah, there's a lot going on in there.
yeah,
And a lot of people that are just starting out, like they're like, oh, I've never written for band. I'm gonna try this flex thing because that's what people are doing right now. I think that's awesome. The only way to learn how to write for band or to do anything is to try it. So
yeah,
I think that's awesome. Yeah.
yeah. And we're not saying that no other Canadian composers do stuff. I'm just saying
You
I
know.
just a thing I noticed, and I was just like, the other thing
Yeah.
is like us polite Canadians often aren't great at just like yelling. No, sorry, oh no, I'm gonna hurt somebody. But you know,
Could never
spreading,
yell.
like telling people about what we're
Yeah.
doing up here. But
Yeah.
there's lots of really great stuff happening. So now I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
think about another episode. But
Yeah.
anyway, moving on until chapter 3.
Yes.
Yeah. I was just wondering if there's any other kind of exciting projects coming up, because I one of my biggest joys is going on Instagram or your YouTube and seeing you and your ever talented fiance Brian Barber singing and doing all that stuff. And let me
Yes.
publicly congratulate you. I'm glad Brian took my advice.
Thank
It's
you.
very exciting. Yeah. But anyway,
Thank you. I'm glad he did too.
yeah, anything I can do, you know.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
picture proof of us on a couch, and it was the night that I said, hey, you better pop the question soon, my friend.
Yeah. He told me after, I mean, not like right away, after at some point in the conversation after we got engaged, he was like, you know, Dylan told me to do this.
Right. Okay, there you go. Yeah. I really hope I was not like in the proposal, you know, Dylan.
No.
I'm doing this because Dylan said to. Anyway, but yeah, so are you guys up to anything?
Yeah, I mean, we both being full-time musicians and you know, music-y people, sort of lost of the vast majority of the work that we had planned, you know, earlier this spring. So we've both been going through this whole reinventing ourselves and figuring out what the heck to do. But I am going to be recording an album. Yeah. So Brian will be helping with that, and we'll be playing and singing on the album. It'll be all original songs, and you know, lots of people know me as a composer, and I started out as a songwriter, and then I found my way into composing once I, started playing in large ensembles and things like that. But I'm sort of circling back around to my roots and like the first way that I got into writing music. And I have all these songs that I've written over the years, and I've never done anything with them. But working with Brian, he's a performer, and so he's really brought me out of my shell a little bit. He's like, you have all this stuff, you should do something with it. So I'm going to be recording a couple of those songs and seeing what happens with that. What else? I am working on some commissions. It's challenging because even the people that I have contracts with, nobody knows if they're going to be able to perform things when we originally planned that was going to happen, right? But I really appreciate people's support in that. The majority of the projects I have lined up, people are saying, we're still going to go through with this, even if we can't play it when we were planning to, we'll do it in our next season or whatever. So basically giving me the license to go ahead and complete the piece if I'm able to, when I'm able to. So hopefully I'll be able to wrap some of those things up at some point.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So there's lots going on.
Lots going on. Yeah. I will break this news to you and whoever may be listening at this moment.
At least one person.
At least, I'm thinking about doing something big, and it relates to the last topic that we were talking about Canadian composers and stuff like that. So as you know, I've been self-publishing my own music for this whole time, and I get a lot of questions from newer composers and younger composers saying, how do you do that, and what do I need to know if I want to do that myself, and or what publishers do you recommend if I want some help with this or whatever. And I realized that maybe I should just start my own company. And so I haven't taken very many steps yet towards that goal, but I am publicly saying that I'm going to do it.
The pressure's on now.
That means that I have to do it. So
that's how I started this podcast.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, so I just figure, like if there are people out there that maybe don't have the time and resources to approach their business the way that I've been doing it so far, maybe I am in a position to be able to help. And like you said, a lot of our American friends and people around the world know who I am or are starting to know who I am. And if I can use my voice and my platform to help amplify the voices of other people, that would make me very happy. So I think that's something coming sometime.
Something to look forward to. Wow. No, that's really fantastic. Just, to just, I don't want to say to give your knowledge and kind of all the resources that you know of, and to help others. So this is a fantastic.
Not that I'm an expert by any means, I'm still figuring it all out.
You've been in the trenches, my friend. So anyone can benefit from your help. So great. And the last segment that I'm going to use before, if anyone has questions, is one that I think will be my new favorite segment. And I don't really know how this is going to come across, but I'm calling this segment Composer Cats, because I've noticed that a lot of you have cats.
It's a thing. I know lots of composers that have cats.
Jennifer Jolly, Alex Shapiro, John, y'all got cats.
Everybody. Yeah.
So, and I'm the first to admit that once the pandemic hit, we ended up getting a cat too. So we have a cat, my sweet little baby.
Quarantine kitty.
Abby. Who's currently sleeping in the background here. But anyway, I was wondering, I'm actually gonna embarrass both of us, but could you tell us about your fine feline friends and how they've helped you, or maybe how they've not helped you during the pandemic, through maybe your creative process?
Yeah, sure. So I have two cats. Their names are Luna and Lily. Lily, actually, we just celebrated her home day a couple days ago, which is, I don't know when her birthday is, because she's a rescue.
There we go.
There we go. So Lily's the orange cat, and Luna is the gray cat. They are very cuddly. They're very soft.
Gosh, look at this.
I know.
Expand it.
They like each other a lot.
Okay. So this is a multi thing. So the first thing is I just wanted to show you the adorable cats. The second thing is that Cait and I need to admit something to you, and it's that we both have cat Instagrams for our cats.
I know. Look at the first comment on this is your cat.
Oh, hey, Abby. Look at that. Oh, she's so good at the typing. Anyway, this is a useless segment.
How does she type with her little paws?
Yeah. Anyway, so you too can follow our cats on Instagram.
Yeah, and actually, the handle is Composer Cats, which is now, coincidentally, the same title as your segment of this.
Yeah,
live
it's
thing.
a great segment. This is my cat.
I feel like Luna and Abby would be good friends. Like, they're both gray, and they're both very playful.
Yeah. That's what I was looking for.
Oh, so cute.
Anyway.
I love following this Instagram account because
I'll be honest.
You guys post way more often than I do. Like, I forget. I have so many cat photos and I just forget to do anything with them. So you've reminded me now. I should revive the account and post more content.
This is why I'm here. But anyway, I just needed
they've helped me actually so much. Like, they're the sweetest cats, and when I'm sad, and that's happened a lot lately, Luna especially is very, very sensitive to other people's emotions. Like, she can really feel the energy of a room. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's like she really is so sensitive to that. So when I'm sad, she just kind of comes near me, and that's really, really nice. And Lily especially loves music, and when Brian is practicing singing or playing or whatever, she often will just, like, from wherever she is in the house, will suddenly appear, because, like, oh, you're playing the piano? I'm just can I sit right here and fall asleep? It's very cute.
Wow, there you go. So yeah. So especially
Composer
follow
Cats.
Cait. Yeah, especially follow Composer Cats, because currently my cat is beating
I know.
Cait's cat with the likes. So go follow Composer Cats. And to truth be told, I really just want to do this so I could put #cat videos,
There you go.
Composer Cats, and so on. But anyway, I'm very excited that we were able to do that. So I'm just going to check here to see if there's any questions. I don't think there's any questions.
That's okay. You can ask me some more questions of your own.
No, I need to go sleep. So as soon as everyone is listening. But I just want to thank you so very much for taking the time to chat with us about this plethora of topics that we talked about. I enjoy talking to you so much in our chats, and I'm grateful to call you a colleague, and I'm especially grateful to call you a friend.
Aw, that's so sweet. That's like the sweetest outro to a podcast ever.
Yeah, now I'm gonna ruin it. So thank you so much, Cait, for doing this. And I just want to remind you to tune in next week for our regular programming with Peter Gallant, and then after that, Giovanni Santos. So thanks again, Cait, and good night.
Thank you for having me.
Everyone.